What's going on, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Leafs Line Podcast. We're continuing our road to the World Junior Championship preview with our next stop here today on Slovakia. Again, I am Aaron Russo. Joining me for this episode and this preview episode is Evan Davis, Jared Rotenberg, and Adamo Romoli. Listen, Slovakia, they're an interesting bunch to get into. Before we do, check out Leafs Line Podcast while you're here. There's a lot of episodes. We've been doing this for quite a while. We have a lot of Leafs content, a lot of NHL content. You can find it all down below. Leafs Line Podcast. Just scroll through all the videos. There's a lot of good pieces in there. And if you want even better pieces, you might want to go to dynastysportsnetwork.ca. You could type it in your web browser. You can look it up on socials. TikTok's a big one for us. Instagram, a lot of videos there. All forms of content, football, soccer, baseball, you name it. You name a sport, it's there. dynastysportsnetwork.ca has got you all covered. But without further ado, gentlemen, why don't we get to Slovakia? They're an interesting group, like I mentioned. Ever since they took home bronze in 2015, international hockey in Slovakia, it's kind of continuously worked to define mediocrity in its results. They have not had that many great finishes as of late. The group has been dodging relegation, and like Austria, were saved by the IHS rule relegations, which, if you do not know, and we had mentioned it off top in our Austria episodes, if you want to check that out, go down below. It was a couple episodes ago, and you will find it. It's a great episode. Tune in. But the IHF basically said, when everything was set up sort of up in the air with the tournament last winter, they said, if you're in the relegation zone in the summer in this tournament, don't worry, you're gonna be still qualified for the next tournament. But that in 2023, which we're in right now, that's when it starts kicking in, and that's when you could really lose a lot of places in the international stage. And that's where Slovakia kind of finds themselves right now, not merely fighting relegation, but they were last year. And the only positive that kind of separated their summer tournament from their hockey development as a whole was that they developed a lot of players in the past, and they all got drafted. Two big guys, back to back, Slafkovsky and if I'm not mistaken,
Simon Nemec.
There we go, Simon Nemec. Thank you for beating me to the punch, Jared.
A few more.
No, absolutely, they had a bunch more, and that's just goes to show how much progress Slovakia has made in the recent past. But if you're looking at just the World Junior Championship, which we're previewing here today, the history is not really on their side. They lost 11-1 to Canada last summer, or this past summer rather, and the nation was kind of highlighted hockey-wise by that draft that happened a little while ago, not their performances at the World Juniors. Not too many eye-popping names this time around, but Jared, are there any players capable of reshaping the team's recent misfortunes that we've seen over the last couple of years?
I honestly believe there are. I mean, last year, I remember before the Winter World Juniors, we were very high on Slovakia.
We were very high.
That potentially had some upset potential. And even though they had another disappointing showing in the summer, I still am kind of bought and sold by the top prospects that Slovakia has to their name. I mean, they obviously have second overall pick last year, Simon Nemec, as well as late first round pick Canadians prospect Philip Mazar. But another player they have on their team that's kind of caught my eye, that's maybe less of a sexy name because he isn't a first round pick, is this guy I found, Dalibor Dvorsky. Apologies if I mispronounced that. But he's currently playing with the Open Sound Attack in the OHL right now. He's a Minnesota Wild prospect, 2022 sixth round pick, who currently has 28 points in 27 games as well with the Owen Sound Attack. But what's interesting about him is stat is that he actually leads the entire OHL in hat tricks right now with 3 hat tricks. So this is a guy that's just a pure goal scorer, and with a lot of guys sprinkled throughout their lineup. Obviously, I didn't think I needed to go as into depth on those top prospects because, I mean, they were drafted in the first round for a reason. But with guys even deeper in their lineup, such as former sixth round picks that are scoring in bunches right now in the OHL, I feel like they do actually have enough NHL prospect talent throughout their lineup that they actually could be another exciting team throughout this year. And yes, there is a chance that they don't finish so high, given the fact that maybe they don't have a ton of depth. But I'm personally sold on them once again. I think they are going to be that surprise team again. That's at least my prediction. And I think they could do it. I think they have a lot of talent on this team.
And you're hoping, if you're a Slovakian fan or you support them, or you're just in the team in your organization, you're really hoping last year was a fluke. It was just a one-off, and it's not going to happen again. Because if those repeated mediocre results come into play a little bit more, which again, we've seen it with a team that's kind of surrounding my room right now, mediocrity does creep in very easily rather than going through with a lot of successful results. So it's definitely within the question, within the bounds, because Slovakia hasn't played the best of hockey in recent years. But again, the skill, the talent, like you mentioned, Jared, it's most evidently there. They got a lot of big names, a lot of guys that can plug in and out of the lineup and make strong strides towards getting some better results. But the big question with this team lies, where do the expectations remain for this group? I mean, we were so high on them last year heading into the winter tournament, and now kind of seems like the script sort of flipped completely. I think the big picture and what they kind of want to get is get out of the mediocre stage, get into the group, the knockout stage, show it on the bigger level against some bigger teams that you can get it done and not getting pumped by Canada 11-1. You got to be something has to change in that regard. Adamo, don't turn over to you. Where do you see the expectations lying for Slovakia this year? Because again, if you guys wanted to tune into the show last year, we were really big on this team, and it just doesn't really seem as much this year.
Yeah, and speaking of last year, I just want to, if any of you Slovaks are back, I don't know how our
Oh
video
yeah,
did, but it did really well
it did.
last
It
year,
was our
and
baby.
it was our best, most viewed video. So if you are Slovakian, thank you so much
Absolutely, hats up for you.
for watching. Yeah, we appreciate you, and we will be rooting for you. That being said, I still need to put my objective cap on. This is not last year's team. We are not nearly as high on them. That is not to say they're going to be bad. Okay, they're not a bottom feeder. This team is making the knockout round. I will bet a lot of money on that. I probably won't because the odds aren't that great. But yeah, this is gonna be a good team. I think they're gonna be fighting for that bronze-ish medal game. If they play in the bronze medal game, you are over the moon. You have arguably the best defenseman in the tournament. I might not even be arguably. I know the States have a couple good ones in Hudson and Hughes. Same with Canada, but Simon Nemec, phenomenal player. There were talks that this guy could have went first overall. I did see that. People regarded him as the best player in the draft. He's such a smooth skater, big shot, elite on both sides of the ice, and this is a player that can really change the game for Slovakia. And I honestly think going into this tournament, if you're not playing in that third, fourth game, I wouldn't call it a disappointment, but I think that's what you got to shoot for if you're Slovakia.
And to Jared's point too, like there's little areas of this team where there's a lot of high end skill that can produce not just at the world stage, but we'll see it probably in the years to come in the National Hockey League. So there's little aspects that guys like you mentioned, Nemec, who can just take over a game. And we've seen it time and time again, especially with D-Man as well, where it's, I think a big case, again, this is very biased, but it's one that really comes to mind. Topi Nimela with the World Juniors with Finland.
It's our baby.
Yeah, he is our baby. He's the guy who we hold on to and say, hey, we do have prospects. So back off. But he, for Finland, he took over the game for them. And lo and behold, they got a bit of results from it. So you're kind of hoping if you're Slovakia to get that little same result. I want to go into predictions right about now. And Evan, I'll start with you on the prediction scale. Where do you got Slovakia finishing? Not just in the group stage. Do you see him going to a gold medal game or gold medal game? Do you see him going to a medal game podium? What are your thoughts on Slovakia? Where do you see him finishing?
I don't know. Like they got a decent amount of NHL talent still coming back. I mean, obviously Slavkovsky is a major loss, just what he can bring you offensively, but maybe a third place game, maybe
Wow.
finishing a little bit below that. I don't know. I still think that they have what it takes. I mean, Simon Nemec is playing in the AHL right now, which isn't anything to really like. It's great, and he has 11 points in 24 games there. So, and that's just trying to get adjusted into North American hockey. Um, I don't know. I Philip Masar is a solid piece, but I mean, I think he would prefer to have his best friend there. But maybe a middle of the pack is the right way to go.
Jerry, what about you? Where do you got Slovakia finishing this year?
I think they're going to finish sixth or fifth. I think in the round robin stage, the fact that they're in that group, I double checked, so there's not going to be any confusion this time. They're playing in Group B with the US, Finland, and as well Switzerland and Latvia. So I think they should be solidified. They're going to finish, in my opinion, above Latvia and Switzerland. So they'll probably finish the round robin stage third in their group. I think that's a fair prediction behind Finland and the US. And then after that, I could see them, depending on who they're matched up against, they maybe have a shot. I don't think they get their way into the medal games, but I think they could potentially win a round in the playoffs of the World Juniors because they have the talent. And if their talent steps up, of course, if guys like Nemec and Meza are their top names, the first round prospects, do well. I think the team definitely has some potential. But in general, I think they will have a good round robin, but I don't see them doing so much. I definitely don't see them getting their way into a medal.
Damo, let's round it off.
For what it's worth, as we speak, Canada just finished off their last preseason game. I don't know if it's their last, but a pre-tournament game against Slovakia, actually. And they beat them 6-1. So
Oof.
I'm going to go ahead and say Slovakia finishes 6th.
Yeah, but if I were to throw a little prediction in there as well, I'd have them around 7th or 6th as well. Just because, I don't know, like there's a lot of lopsided results that they've endured in the past, and it doesn't seem like that's something they could shake. And those are really also what stands. Goal differential is a big thing in the tournament. So if you can't lock down on that, and you're giving up a lot more goals and you're throwing in the back of the net, then it could really spell a lot of problems for you. And Slovakia may very well, like they did last year, get in that same boat and pay the price for it. But yeah, that does it for our Slovakia episode. To the Slovakia fans, again, we love you at the LLP. You guys helped us out a ton. You guys kind of got the wheels moving on our show, and you're kind of a big reason why we're doing this here today, doing the World Junior show. So thank you guys. Hats off to you. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode on Slovakia. I hope we didn't really hurt on your team too much, but you guys have a lot of talent. You develop a lot of players, and it's going to be really fun to watch them develop and grow in the National Hockey League and on the North American stage. But that does it for us here. This is Mary Russo. I am Mary Russo. Don Romoli, Jared Rodenberg, and Evan Davis. Stick around. We're going to be tuning into Switzerland, previewing them as we make our way towards the bigger teams. And again, the world's biggest prize in hockey, the gold medal. So thank you guys for tuning in. Stick around on DSN and the LLP. We'll catch you later.